Hey guys, in this Sparky AR Studio tutorial I want to show you how you can create a catch game with lives for your Instagram. I made it very simple for you because I have created some patches you can use for free to create this filter, and I will show you in this tutorial how you can use them. So yeah, the game is a simple catch game, so you have to catch the falling objects, and when you miss an object you will lose a life, and when you catch one the counter counts the score. So yeah, we have already created one with a timer. You can find this up here. But yeah, this one is the one with lives. So yeah, just make sure you download all the assets we need for this filter. In the description you can find the link, and then we can start. So let's go. Hey again, so let's create this catch game with lives here in the Sparky AR Studio. Before we start creating the game here, make sure you have downloaded all the assets we need for this filter. You can do this for free with the link in the description. So just go to the description and then you will land here on this Dropbox site. Here, just click on download to download all the assets we need for this filter. In this folder you will find the catcher.png file, but of course you can design your own catcher. Just make sure they are in a squared format as a PNG. Then you will also find here the game logic for the catch game, then also a hard PNG. We can colorize this later in all colors we want in the Sparky AR Studio. Then here also the object we want to catch. And of course you can use your own object here as well. And then we also have here the score and life counter, also a patch file. So after you have successfully downloaded all the assets and unzipped it, just drag and drop it into your Sparky AR Studio to import it. After the import is done, make sure you set the compression of the PNG files to none. For this, just select all of the free PNG files, go to the right hand side, and here at the compression set it to none for all free devices. So after this is done, we can start creating the filter here. The first thing I will do is to create the move arrow catcher here on the bottom of the screen. So for this we need of course a face tracker, because we want to move our catcher with the movement of our head. So for this we go to our scene, click on the little plus, and here we search for face tracker, but it also should be the first object here. Then just click on insert. The next step is that we drag and drop our face tracker to our patch editor. After we have done this, we get those free patches already set up. So the next step is of course that we create an object here on the screen where the catcher will be visible. For this we need a plane object. So again, go to your scene, click on the plus, and here search for plane. Then you can find this plane here on the screen. So the next step is that you select the plane in the scene, go to the right hand side, and here for the position transformation, click on the yellow arrow next to it. After you have done this, you will find a yellow 3D position patch in your patch editor. So now we have to create something here in the patch editor, so we have to create some patches. The first patch will be an unpack patch. So just search for unpack and click on add patch. And then we also need a pack patch. So again, search for a pack patch. Then we have to connect the 3D position output of the face tracker 0 to the value input of our unpack patch. So then we just need the X coordinate of our unpack patch. So for this, just connect the X coordinate with the first input of the pack patch. And then the output of the pack patch goes into the 3D position input of our plane. So now we can already move our plane from left to right. But we want it a little bit further down. So for this we go to our pack patch, and here at the second value we type in minus 0.12. So it is a little bit further down, but you can play around with this. So you can also say minus 0.14, so it is much more down. So I will leave it like this. And yeah, I will rename my plane to catcher so I don't get confused later. But of course at the moment it's just it's not the catcher we want, so not the right image. So for this we have to create a new material. So we go to our assets panel and create a new material. And also I will rename it to catcher. Then I will go to the right hand side and set the shader type of this material to flat. And for the texture I will select of course the catcher texture. Now one last step, go to your catcher object in the scene and set the right material for it. So the catcher material and now we have already our catcher here on the screen. The next step I will do is to set up the lives here on the screen. So there are 3 hearts to indicate the lives we have left in the game. And then of course when an object falls down, 1 life will disappear. But at first we will just set up here the scene. So the next step is for this that we go to our scene and we create a null object. This is very helpful, but we will see this later. So just create a null object. Then the next step is to create another plane object. So now we have this plane object here, and now we will drag and drop the plane 0 into the null object. I will also rename the null object to lives, and the plane 0 will be live 1. So then we will duplicate the live 1 layer, so we get a live 2, and also we will duplicate the live 2 plane as well, so we also have live 3. So at the moment they are all at the same position, but we will change this now. So select the live 1, go to the right hand side and set the position of this plane to -0.1. Now it is on the left side, and now we go to the live 3 plane and set the position to 0.1. So now they are stretching all over the screen. So now it's time to resize them, so rescale them. For this, the null object comes in. So for this we just have to select the lives null object, then go to the right hand side and set the scale, for example, to 0.5 and the x and also the y coordinate. But of course you can play around with this, with the size, with the position and everything. So the next step is that we set the right texture for the live planes. So for this we will create a new material. So again, go to your assets panel and create a new material. I will call this material live. Then I will go to the right hand side and set the shader type to flat. And for the texture, of course, I will select the hard texture. Now we go back to our scene and select all 3 of our live objects. Then we go to the right hand side and set for the material the live material. So now we have 3 white hearts in the middle of our screen. So now I want it on top of the screen. So just set the viewport from edit 3D objects to 2D objects. Make sure your lives null object is selected here, and then just drag and drop it to the top of your screen. So as I've already said, we can customize the color of the hearts. For this we just have to go to our materials, click on the live material, go to the right hand side, and here at diffuse just change the color. I will change it to a red color, and then I just click OK, and now our hearts are red. Great. So now we will set up our objects which come falling down from the top to the bottom. So for this also the first patch you have downloaded comes in. But before we do this, we will create our objects in our scene. So for this again, go to your scene, and here we will also create a new null object first. So null object, and click on insert. I will rename this a null object to objects. So then of course we need another plane. So again, click on the plus and search for a plane. And here also drag and drop this plane to the object's null object, so it is inside of it. So as you can see here as well at the lives. So now we have to set up the material for this as well. So go to your assets panel and create a new material. I will call this material object. Then again, I go to the right hand side and set the shader type to flat. And for the texture, I select my object texture. Then I will go to my plane 0. At first I will rename it to object 1. Go to the right hand side, and for the material I set my object material here. So now we can play around here with our patch. So go to your assets panel and then drag and drop the game logic catch game patch to your patch editor. And you will find this ready-made patch I have created for you to create in a very simple way this catch game. So here we have a few inputs and also a few outputs. As you already can see here, we have an object position, object scale, and a visibility output. So for this, we have to extract some values from our plane object here. So go to your scene and select the plane object for the object 1. Then go to the right hand side, and here just click on the little arrow next to position, next to scale, and also next to visible. Then you can find 3 new yellow patches in your patch editor. So and now connect them in the right order. So the object position output goes into the 3D position input, the 3D scale, the object scale output goes into the 3D scale input, and here for the visible we need the visibility output. So now we can't see something on the screen because the game logic patch is not running. So when you here check this checkbox next to running, you will see that the object starts falling, but it disappears here in the middle of the screen. To change this, we have to give the game logic patch the catcher position. So for this, select the pack patch of the catcher before this one. We just have one here, and then just connect the vector output to the catcher position input of our game logic patch. And now the apple disappears here at the catcher. At the moment the apple is pretty big. I think to change this we can do this at the game logic catch game patch. So just search for the object scale and set it to 0.7 for example, but of course you can play around with those settings. So at the moment the apple is just falling from this point downwards, but we wanted to randomize the start position here. So we want it in this range. We can set this also at the game logic patch. Here you can find the X spawn area input. At first it is set to 0, but to stretch it all over the screen, set it to 0.3. So it's random where the apple comes from or the object. So when you set it to 0.1 for example, the spawn area is like in this area, but I will leave it to 0.3. And also for the first game logic patch we set the start delay to 0. So now we successfully set up the first object here in our game, but of course we want to have more objects which came falling down here. So again, go to your scene and create a new plane object. Now I will rename this object to this plane to object 2 and also drag and drop it into the null object here. So it is also inside this null object. Then also select the object we have just created, go to the right hand side and set the right material. So now again we need another game logic patch. So just drag and drop the game logic patch from the assets panel into the patch editor. Then again go to the object 2 plane in the scene, and on the right hand side just extract the visibility property, the position and also the scale properties. So Now again, connect the patches in the right way. So the object position goes into the 3D position, the object scale into the 3D scale, and here the visibility output goes into the visible patch here. So, and now the second one hasn't started falling yet, but we will change this now. But at first we have to also give the patch the position of the catcher. So again, connect the vector output of the pack patch to the catcher position input. Then also for the X spawn area, set it to 0.3. And now when we also click on running here, the second apple starts falling down. I mean, it could be also a tomato, but let's call it an apple. So, and yeah, and also set the object scale down to 0.7 or to the value you want. So the next step we have to do here is that we start both of the objects at the same moment. So for this, we will add a switch patch to the patch editor and connect the output to the running input of both of the game logic patches. Now we just need a trigger to start the game. Normally I will use the recording of the story, but I will use here the screen tap patch so I can test it better. But in the end, I normally change it to the recording of the object of the camera patch. But I will show this to you later. So the gesture state output goes into the turn on input of the switch. And now when we click on the screen or tap on the screen, the apple starts falling down. I think that's pretty nice. Here at the game logic, you can play around here with the speed, with the start delay, and some other values. For example, when you set the speed to 1, it is much faster. So you have to do is, of course, at both objects. The speed is the value of the speed is the seconds how long the object takes from the top to the bottom. So at the moment it takes 1 second for the apple to fall down. So when we want it slower, we set it to 3. So it takes 3 seconds for the apple to fall down. But I leave it here, of course, at 2. For the start delay, the first starts with 0 delay and the second one starts with a 1 second delay. So this is exactly half of the speed. So they come in a regular distance. Good. The next step we will do is to add a score counter here to the game, because at the moment we just collect apples and we also don't have the logic that the lives disappear when an apple falls down. So let's change this. For this, I have also created a nice patch for you, the score and life counter patch. So just drag and drop this to your patch editor. And then you will find this here. This has 2 inputs, the catched input and the missed input, and also here 6 outputs. The score, the life 2, life 3, game over, and visibility objects. So let's start with the score. For this, we have to create a 2D text object first in the scene. So go to your scene, click on the plus and search for 2D text. So now we can see the text here on the left upper corner. I want it to be centered in the middle of the screen. So I select the 2D text element, go to the right hand side and set the width to fill width. Also, I will drag this a little bit down so we have it here. Of course, you can change the color of the text. I'll change it to white and make it a little bit bigger. But I will also resize my lives. They're a little bit too big, but it's really simple because we have our null object. So I just select the lives and then I scale it down to 0.3. So now it is much smaller. I will give the text a little bit up and that's good. So the next step is that we extract our text property of our 2D text element. So for this, just click on the yellow arrow next to it. So now we have this yellow text object, and now we just can connect the score output to the text input of the 2D text element. So now it says 0. So I will also rename my 2D text element to score, so I know that this is the score of my game. So now when we restart the game, tap on the screen and catch some errors, nothing happens because we need to program the logic here, which goes into the catched input. And we have a catched and missed output at our game logic patch, so you know what to do. But we have two of them and just one input, so we have to merge the two purses. So for this we need a purse merge patch. So add a new patch and search for purse merge and insert it. So now connect the catched output of the first game logic patch and also the one of the second to the purse merge patch, and then the output of the purse merge goes into the catched input. And now when we catch an error, the score starts counting. So now we just have to create the logic for the lives. This is also pretty simple too. We just have to create another purse merge patch, then connect the two missed output of the game logic patches, and also the output goes into the missed input of the score and live counter patch. So now when a error is missed, one life should go away, but at the moment nothing happens because we need to also link the visibility of our lives object here. For this, we go to our scene, then we go to our free live planes, select all of them, then we go to the right hand side and also click on the little arrow next to visible. So now we have live 3, live 2 and the visibility of live 1 in our patch editor. And now just connect those three outputs to the yellow patches. So live 1 to live 1, live 2 to live 2 and live 3 to live 3. So now when we restart the game, because at the moment all three have go away. So again, tap on the screen. When we catch an error, we get a score, but when we miss an error, we lose a heart. So at the moment, there is a wrong order of the hearts. There's something wrong at the score and live counter patch, but with the one you will download, that will be the right one. I will just correct it after this video. So you will have the right score and live counter patch here. I made a little mistake, but looks also nice this way, I think. So then there are just two steps left, because when all the lives are gone, the counter isn't counting anymore, but the errors are still there. We don't want this. So for this, we need our null object of the from the object. So select this, go to the right hand side, and here click also on the little arrow next to visible. Then you also have this objects patch, so make sure it is the null object from the objects where all the objects are in, and then connect this, the visibility objects output of the score and live counter patch, to the visible input of the objects patch. So now the objects are gone. There is one last step to do, because we also want a message in the middle of the screen which says game over when we lost all 3 lives. For this we need another 2D text object, of course. So we go to our scene, click on the plus and search for 2D text. I will rename this text layer to game over, so I don't get confused with the score. Then I will go to the right hand side, set the width to fill width, so it is also in the middle. Then for the text, I just type in here game over. Then I will set the font to the heavy font size to, let's say, 50, and the color, of course, to red. And I wanted to have it in the middle of the screen, so I will just drag it to the position where I want it to. So this looks pretty good. So one last step, go to the visibility property of your game over and text object and click on the arrow right next to it. Then just connect the game over output with the visible input of the yellow game over patch. And now when we restart our game, click on the screen, the game should work just fine. So yeah, we are collecting the apples, and when we miss an apple, we will lose lives, and when we lost all 3 of them, we have game over. Here's the score. For sure you can drag around it or do other things with it. And that is all about the catch games with lives here at the Sparky AR Studio. So you have successfully created one. You can of course play around here with all the settings at the game logic patch. The X and Y tolerance here are very important because when you have another other size of the catcher, you have to play around with this. So I will show it with the X tolerance, where when I set it really high, for example to 1, and then I restart the game, the apples don't really have to, as you can see here, have to touch the catcher. Of course, when I set it to both, it is much better to see, so they don't have to touch it to get catched. So when you have a different size, you have to play around with those 2 values, with the X and also with the Y tolerance. And the Y tolerance is of course when the object gets collected. So when I set the Y tolerance to 0.1, it will get collected much above the catcher. So again, restart it, and as you can see here, it's far above the catcher. So, but I will set it back to 0.03. Of course, you have to change the value on both of the 2 patches, but when you just wanted to change it on one place, you can create a value patch, for example, and the output goes to both X tolerances, for example, and you can set it to 0.03, 0.3 for the X. You will change it on both patches at the same time. Now the X tolerance is pretty high. As you can see, I don't have to catch them with the catcher, so they get catched. But I will set it back to 0.03. Also, we have here the Y start and the Y end. So this means where the object starts falling. So when I set, for example, the Y start to 0, the object will start in the middle of the screen. So again, restart. So they're starting now here. So the best would be when you play around with all the settings here, so you know which one does which. So at the moment, this game starts with a screen tap, but most of the time I create those filters with a start when I hit the record button. For this, you just have to drag and drop your camera object to your scene, and here at this camera patch, you will find video recording output. Just connect this video recording output to the turn on input of the switch, and now when you hit the record button on your phone, the game will start. But you can't test it here in the Sparky AR Studio, so I will use just the screen tap for this. So thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you. If yes, give it a thumbs up. If you have created a game with this tutorial, it would be nice when you send it to me on Instagram. I'm always happy to see your filters you create with the help of my tutorials. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, it would be nice when you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any new video. And then we will see us in the next video. So have a great day and bye.